This week on commandN, how to claim yourself on Google, an all-you-can-eat vegetable orchestra, and Jeff gets his aim on. Plus, we might do some real-life fishing. Welcome to episode 177 of commandN. I'm Amber. As you can probably tell, we're still in southern Florida. We're here till the end of the month, and then it's back in Toronto. The good news is that it is definitely 100% for sure patio weather in T-Dot. So good news for all of us Torontonians. Now let's talk about the tech headlines of the week. Our headlines this week are sponsored by our friends at GoDaddy.com. Thanks again to GoDaddy for all of your support of commandN over the past few years. And all you have to do, our viewers, is sign up for any of their hosting packages and get an extra 10% off if you enter the promo code command10. Once again, that's the number 1 and the number 0. In our first headline this week, Apple has announced that they've reached 1 billion downloads in the App Store. The most popular app around the world is called HeatPad. This is a free application that allows you to get creative with your fingertips and your iPhone or your iPod Touch. My friend Josh on Twitter says that his 5-year-old son loves this application, and he does some pretty inspirational works of art. For our second headline of the week, if you don't like what people are finding when they're searching your name on Google, now you have a chance to change all of that. Google has announced that they've launched Google Profiles. This is a chance for you to fill out a quick little profile with some basic information about yourself. So now when someone searches your name on Google, at the very bottom of the page of results, there'll be a link to your name and your official profile on Google.
There's an online world where I am king of a little website dedicated to me.
Mashable.com is reporting that some Facebook users have been asked recently if they would pay for their own vanity URL. A vanity URL is a URL that is specific to your name. For example, if I had a vanity URL on Facebook, it would be facebook.com/AmberMac. MySpace already does this, and it looks like Facebook is trying to get in on the same game. There's no word yet how much this might cost or when it could be available.
On Facebook,
The Webby Awards has come a long way since I was a judge in San Francisco in the year 2000. They've recently announced their nominees for this year, including 5 new mobile categories. One of these categories is Best Use of GPS, another is Best Use of Mobile Video. One of our viewers, Werner, sent us a link to this video that doesn't need a whole lot of explaining. It is a vegetable orchestra, where they use vegetables for all of their instruments, including instruments like a carrot flute or celery bongos. Pretty interesting stuff. And healthy.
Welcome to this week's Spotlight segment. We're here at the Atlantic Internet Marketing Conference, and we've got Rob Swick with Alpha Search Marketing, who's one of the organizers here. So tell us a bit about how this has come to be, the AIM conference, Rob.
Well, the AIM conference started, I guess, 2 years ago. We had the first one, so this is our third. And just a bunch of us sitting around saying there needs to be something for the Atlantic region. You have to go to Toronto or Boston to see a good conference. So came up with the idea. I had co-produced some conferences in Montreal, had a few names and a few ideas, and we started to put it together, and really it happened very quickly. The first year we had over 200 people. This year we have 270. We realized early on a couple of things. One is that it has to be a great place to learn about this because there's so many people that need to learn internet marketing. And we also realized that in a market this size, we needed to please 2 audiences. Agencies and the high-end people that they already know a lot and they want to learn more and they want to mix with their peers. And then smaller businesses that are eager just to get their feet wet and get a foundation. This year we've got some really top-notch people, and we sat down last summer and said, this is working, how can we elevate it? We brought in some kind of heavy hitters, and so it's a great blend of really good regional people and then some top-notch people from outside, and it's also awesome networking and streamed so that high-level and low-level people can mix it, and it works.
So we're here with Daniel Burka from Dig and Silver Orange. You're going to be giving a talk this afternoon. What are you going to be talking about?
Well, I'm going to be talking about all of the mistakes we've made, which is, I think, a really interesting and fun subject. So I'm going to talk about kind of when we've launched stuff when it hasn't worked the way we anticipated it, or when it's just been a general flop, and then what we've done about it. How do we know when we failed? How do we fix what we've done? And I think generally every project you launch is a failure at the outset. I think until you get out in the wild, you don't really know. Examples from my work with Mozilla, a lot of my work with Dig, and then also some of the stuff we did on Pounce.
And are there any big lessons you're going to pull out at the end about this, but from what you've learned?
Well, I think the big lesson is that you don't need to sweat whether or not something's perfect when you launch it. I think getting it out there, getting it in the real world, and getting real feedback on whether or not what you've built is any good is a lot more valuable than sitting in a lab somewhere trying to build the perfect product.
So we're here with Eric Pierney from Kijiji, and you just gave a great talk about hearing and acting on the voice of the customer. Can you talk to our audience a bit about Kijiji's attitude and building that relationship?
Yeah, I think for Kijiji from day one, our focus was essentially that customers are the owners of the brand. We don't own the brand, they own the brand. As a result, we call them our CEO. And everything we do in the office, all the decisions that are done related to changes on Kijiji come from users. And the talk was predominantly just focused on different ways that we did listen to users and how we take that information and translate it into execution for our site. We'll have sessions where we invite users into our office. And I often see that, where people are allowed to come in, have lunch, and talk about their experience on the site. In addition, we have what we call discussion boards, and we're actively on a daily basis going on those boards and listening to what users are telling us about the site and what changes that they want. So those are probably two of the highlights. And a third would also just be the user behavior on the site. We're constantly looking at that data, and we find that data obviously extremely valuable in terms of a way of them communicating to us. In my opinion, it's one of those situations that this is the future in terms of if people aren't doing this, I don't think they're going to succeed. I may be wrong, but that's the approach I have and the approach we have in our organization, that if you're not actively listening to your customer, that means someone else is. And that someone else is going to introduce something that your customer wants and you don't have.
My web pick this week is a service called When Is Good. This is a really handy site if you're trying to organize a meeting with a group of people. All you have to do is go in and fill out the times that you're available, send a link to the recipients, and they get to choose any of those times that work with their schedule. What's especially neat about this site is it doesn't require you to sign up, and there are no passwords required. So it's easy as pie. That's it for this episode of commandN. Remember, if you have any links you want to send us, all you have to do is leave a comment on commandN.tv, and we'll make sure to check in there. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next week. I think I got it pretty steady. Oh, it's beautiful.